Hi, in this video I'll show you how to create a diverging column chart. So what does that mean? Here's an example from the Pew Research website. This is the Pew Research Center. And they have this column chart, or it's a stack column chart, where you can see that the values diverge from kind of a common axis. And this is actually pretty easy to create. And I had taken the data and just put it in a little bit table here and created a similar chart here in Excel. And I'll show you how we can create this. Let's go to my sheet 2 here. I put the data in here. We have to properly create a data set for this. You'll notice that we have the values, these houses that are larger as the upper category here, and this houses that are smaller as the lower categories. If we go into sheet 2, we have the same thing here, and in order to create that lower category, it has to be a negative number. So what we can do is kind of create a helper column here. Right click, I'm going to click insert column, and I'll use the same here. I'll just give it some identifying character indicating that it's actually a different column. And here, just type equals -1 times that value. Double click the fill handle to copy it down, and now I can just use this data to create the chart. Go to insert, and under the chart here we're going to insert a stack column chart. So now you see that it's kind of being built out nicely, right? So we have our data being built out. So the rest of what we need to do is just do a little bit of formatting and also change some of the linkages to the table here. Let's delete the grid lines. That kind of just adds too much to it. And go into the chart, Control 1 to bring up the format plot area. I'm going to actually format the axis. So I can either click the axis here, or you can see if I click on the chart here, you can see it changes here. Format chart area. Let's select the axis. So we're going to select the horizontal axis. And initially we had the consistent liberal start first. If we go back to our website here, we're looking to see it from left to right. So when you think about it, liberals are usually on the left and conservatives are on the right. So let's, instead of changing it in the table here, we can actually change it here. If I selected my axis, go to the axis options and click categories in reverse order, so it changes it. I also don't need this legend. I'm going to do the same thing where we have it on the left side. Select the edge and press delete. Let's move this over here a little bit better so we can see stuff. And I also don't need the chart here. I don't need the y-axis label, so I'll select that and press delete. These I don't need either. I don't want to have this at well, I actually need it, but I don't want it at the bottom. I want it at the top. So let's change that. The label, the axis options, we're going to have that at the top. Go to labels and select top high, so it shows up way at the top. I pretty much almost have it done. I want to have the values for each of them. Select the upper values. This, you can see that it's selected here. Let's close this window. You can see that it's selected here at the table. Right click, add data label, and it's added the data label here. Now this is in absolute values, it's not the percentage, but you can probably change this to percent and it will reflect that. Now the bottom one, if I right click and add data label, it's going to add the wrong data label. I don't want the negative one. I want the values from this column, not the helper column, to create these negative values. What I can do is click on the labels, right click and format data labels, and instead of having the data labels from the value or value here, I wanted to have it from values from a specific area. Click on that, and I'm going to select this data range. Click OK, and now you see that it's added there. So I can get rid of the values here. I can also get rid of these show leader lines. That just shows up if you move the data labels kind of far away from the graph, they'll show these lines to indicate that portion of the graph is what it's referring to. So I'll just click delete that. I don't need that there. Also, let's change the color a little bit to kind of reflect the same color that we had earlier. Let's see, paint bucket, fill, and let's make that fill this lighter color, right? Let's see if that shows. Yep. And then the lower one, I can actually just right click it, and you can see that the little menu shows up here too. And let's select the fill, make this one a little darker. So that kind of matches what we showed at the website. Close this for now. Make the plot area a little smaller so I can put those graphics in. Let's make this a little bit smaller here. Make this a little bit smaller here. And there. Actually, that's probably a little bit too small. Let's move it up a little bit. Right? And I want to have that house there, right? Just the same as these houses here, and also having the text here reflective of the text here. And what we can do is we can insert the text box. Go to Insert and Text Box. This will be the text box at the top. And this can refer to, I'll just type equal here in the formula bar. When this is selected, type equal, and these are the larger ones. Select that, so you can notice it selected the absolute value of reference of B1. Press enter, and that's there. We can probably make the font size a little smaller. Let's see if we can adjust it here. Actually that's not bad. Move it up here. Whoops, I moved up the whole chart. Control Z to undo that. Select the text box again and move it up here, and do the same thing at the bottom. I can just copy and paste this and just change the reference here too. So I'll just do a Control D, which will duplicate that object, the text object. And you can see it's selected here. I'm going to change this. Let's delete that, equal. And I don't want to reference this one. I'll reference this one because this has the asterisk on it. So I'll reference this one. And now you notice it has changed. So we can add those houses actually. So you can notice that I had these little houses here. And it's basically a couple triangles, rectangles, and a square. Now the way that we can do this is we can insert some shapes. I'm going to insert a triangle. I'll press the shift key so it kind of builds a equilateral triangle. And maybe I'll insert a square for the base. Press the shift key so I don't have a rectangle. I can get a nice square here. And let's move our square up here. And let's have another square. Let's make these the windows. I don't need to press the shift key because I don't need to have an equilateral object or equal shaped object. I can just add that there. Since I added the window there and it's selected, press Control D to duplicate that and move that over here, and Control D to duplicate it again, and this will be the door, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. Right, so we have our door here. And I want to select all these objects, so I can press the shift key or the control key. I should probably control key. Let me multi-select. And then right click, group. I want to group them all together so I can resize it. So I'll press the shift key and kind of resize it kind of equal distantly. Maybe I can want to make this a little bit smaller there. So that's okay. Also probably change the color. What color do we have on the website? It was dark. Let's change. We can change it here. Oh, that didn't look too good. Control Z to undo. Maybe we'll do the shape fill color and do something like that. And make the outline a white color. Right? So that looks okay. So I can put this here. And if I want to duplicate that, press Control D to duplicate. Press the shift key to resize it equidistantly. And I have my little houses here. That's selected. Press Control D. Oops, Control D to duplicate and make this one a little bit smaller. Let's press the shift key again and resize that area so everything resizes kind of equally. Press Control D to duplicate that. Let's make this a little bigger, but not too big. Right? So now we have our chart. It looks almost like this one now, right? So we have our 21% to 40. You can see that it goes there. We have our 77, 57, and our text here. We can probably change this, move it up a little bit so it doesn't look odd like that, right? And if we want to turn these all into percentages, what I can do is just type in 100. So now press Control C, and I'm going to select this range and press Control and select this range. Control lets you select discontiguous cells. Go under Paste, Paste Special, and click Divide because we want to divide these values by 100. Click OK, and now it's turned it into decimals for percentage. Right, so I can just select everything here, and instead of having these decimals, make it a percent, and now we have a percentage to show up. So this probably reflects more of the same type of chart that we have here, 21%. I can see they didn't put the percentage sign on the rest of them, but we have percentage signs on our values here. So this is the way that you can create a diverging column chart, very similar to the one that we just saw here on this website. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.